Well, let's start with this.
Yeah.
Tell me the whole story on this.
Well, this is a 1987 standard, and this was one of the first two that Gibson gave him when he first got his Gibson deal in '87. So this started on the road on the Appetite for Destruction tour.
Wow.
And as you can see, it's served its time. It's been broken several times. It was his main guitar through the Appetite and most of the Use Your Illusion tours as well.
Wow.
You know?
Now, you've been with Slash since, for how long now?
I started in '88.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so you and that guitar have a lot of miles.
we go back.
Yeah.
You know, he was playing with Alice Cooper and the cherry fell out of his cigarette. Landed right here. He was jamming with Steve Winwood, Nile Rodgers, playing a Hendrix song. And he did one of these neck bends, snapped the neck right in half. The headstock came up and hit him in the face. And the guitar was dangling by its strings. That was a real rock and roll moment there.
Yeah, that is great. That's great. So, okay, besides the repairs of, broken headstocks and such, what else have you done to it? The pickups, are those?
These are his Seymour Duncan Alnico 2 Pros. Pretty much we put in everything except there's a few that we like the sound of the Gibson pickups in.
Other than that, what other modifications have you made?
There's not much. A couple of them will have select value of tone capacitors. He'll play with his tone quite a bit, and certain songs need a certain value of tone capacitance.
Yeah.
So other than that, there's not much. He's played so many guitars through the years that
Right.
he's used to playing different radius necks, different fret wire. So he's got preferences, but he'll just play anything.
Right. That's great.
That works for him.
It's interesting. You ride that bridge up, that stop tailpiece up high, right?
Well, these standards had a greater neck to body angle than the reissues, for one thing. But mainly, I try to keep the bridge from having too much of a break angle.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Because he plays so hard here, and if I put this tailpiece down to the right down to the body, he'll be snapping strings before you know it.
Well, I guess that is going to relieve some of that pressure.
Yeah.
That's great. Do you find it tough? I know during sound check you have to play, and do you find it difficult playing with the guitar that low, or are you just used to it?
I'm used to it. I can't play everything at that, but I can't play everything anyway. But I play what I need to play.
Yeah.
At this level, so I am used to that.
Yeah. Well, that's an amazing bit of rock and roll history.
Yeah.
Well, let's look at its
all right. Well,
brother or cousin or whatever.
This is a replica that Gibson did of what they call the Appetite for Destruction guitar.
Yeah.
Which actually was the Appetite for Destruction guitar. It's not actually Gibson. This one is. The original replica was not a Gibson.
That's right. Who made that guitar?
It was a gentleman named Chris Derrick, and he's since passed. But there was a few of these going around, and his manager brought this into the studio during Appetite for Destruction. And the original's got such a unique voice, and he's used it. I've been around for most of the recordings, and that guitar has been on quite a bit.
Yeah.
And so later on, Gibson took this into their own hands. They took the guitar and they modeled it, and he's probably got about a half dozen of these.
Well, how close is it? If you were to A/B them, can you hear a difference?
I haven't A/B'd him in the studio, at least in a long time. I'm sure you'd hear a slight difference.
Yeah.
It's just so hard to replicate the sonics no matter what you do.
Yeah.
You can get the weight of the wood, you can get everything right, but it's not always going to sound identical. And that guitar just has this unique mid-range voice.
Yeah.
That just works.
Sure. Now, at one point, I remember reading he had that Joe Perry's old, was it 59 Les Paul?
Yeah, it was a 59 Tobacco Burst.
Did he have that out on the road with you?
No, it never went on the road. Got it during Use Your Illusion sessions.
Yeah.
And it made it on a few songs. And once Joe found out Slash had it, he was bugging him to get it back.
Yeah.
As you would.
Yes.
Yeah. So it had been floating around, and Slash always loved that because he had a poster of Aerosmith with Joe playing that guitar.
Right, that brown.
So when he had the offer to get it, he got it.
Yeah.
So we used it in the studio. And like I said, it was on several tracks of Use Your Illusion. And at one point, Slash decided to give it to him for his birthday. Give it back to him.
God.
Unbeknownst to him.
Jeez, man. That's the most generous gift I've ever heard of. Because, I mean, what's it? It's got to be worth $1 million.
Well, it wasn't then.
It is now.
It is now, that's for sure. Yeah. You know, but
yeah.
Slash knew how much it meant to him. And Slash knew what Joe meant to him growing up and the influence that he put on him, he left on him playing the guitar. So
that's beautiful.
that was important to him to get it back to him, I think.
How cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good segue. Let's talk about some other guitars.
Yeah.
Things just got even cooler, if that's possible. Let's hear about this.
Well, this has been refinished in black. It was probably an 88 or 89, as I recall. I have to look at the number again, but it's been around for a long time. It was on Use Your Illusion tour and a lot of his solo stuff.
Right.
And brought it back out for this, and it's mainly used for Knocking on Heaven's Door now.
Oh, that's okay. So, what's the setup on Heaven's Door? How are you doing?
Well, he'll go back and forth between the 12-string and the 6-string during the song.
Yeah.
And so when he's up here playing the 12-string, I do the amp switching and whatever sonic changes. I do that during the songs, the show. So when he's playing the 12-string, he'll be going through a pair of clean sounding amps. And so when he switches during the song, he'll switch next and go to this, and I'll switch to a couple other amps, some dirtier sounding amps for this. And so he'll go back and forth during the song, and he's a kind of player who he's so passionate, it's never the same every night. So I have a TV monitor back there where I can watch the front of him, so I can keep an eye. Sometimes he'll stay longer here. So you
can anticipate the change.
So I have to anticipate the change, but visually mainly, and sonically I know what he's going to do. If he does a descending line, he'll usually end up back here. But so it can be a little tricky, but it's part of the challenges of the gig.
Yeah, that's great. And other than the paint, anything else changed on this?
No, I believe these. It's been a long time. I believe these may be the Alnico 2s down here, or they may be stock. I don't even remember at this point.
They look played, whatever they are. Yeah. There's been a lot of picks drug across those.
There's been a lot of everything on this guitar. Yeah. There's a lot of DNA.
Yeah, right.
But it's been a great guitar.
Yeah. Wow, man! It is so heavy. More than one song would put you in traction. Yeah. And that strap is amazing.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
Yeah, that's great. Okay, very cool. Let's look at this guy over here.
Yeah. All right. So this is a BC Rich bitch, and although he's got a bunch of vintage BC Riches, this was commissioned through BC Rich. To his specs, which basically are neck through maple with mahogany wings and a curly maple a curly maple cap.
Wow,
and
beautiful.
The maple we find gives it a little bit of brightness, a little definition. So sonically, it works well for him.
And all these mysterious switches.
Yeah, well, they had a lot going on in the 70s when they designed these. You know, there was two active preamps. There was coil taps, a baritone.
Wow.
And of course, it was a 10-string.
Wow.
Slash always loved the look of these. And
when he was a kid, he had one of these. Didn't he have a BC Rich?
He did. Yeah. He did. So he's always been fond of these.
Yeah.
So we never use them for 10-string, but they work great for what he uses them for.
Yeah, fabulous. Okay, that is very cool. Okay, so you're touring with a lot of guitars. We can't show them all, but these are some of the sweethearts. Let's hear about this one.
This is a pretty cool one and unique and kind kind of close to my heart just because this basically is a replica of his original 1958 that he purchased in 1990.
Wow.
And as you can tell, it's pretty beat up. But when he buys a guitar, when he looks at a guitar, whether it's expensive or not expensive, it's got to sound right and it's got to play right to him. It doesn't matter. He doesn't buy it just for the investment. But that being said, he ended up buying this in 1990, and we put it right to work on Use Your Illusion albums. And it originally had a cover on the back pickup, and it was a little bit microphonic. And in 1990, I took it off. And so this is not the original 58. This is a replica that Gibson did within the last month.
Oh, great. Wow.
To exact specs of his original. And distressed, as you can tell, and
right.
They matched everything, and it sounds really good.
Now,
he's very happy with it.
So just getting back to the pickup, when you took the top off, did the microphonic thing kind of disappear?
It did, and a lot of times just because it might be a little bit loose.
Wow.
Any metallic that's loose vibrates and comes through, so it did help.
I've got to do that. That's a great little hack for you out there.
Yeah.
A great way to fix microphonic.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but in this case it actually did.
Good place to start.
Yeah.
That's great. Now, what gauge strings do you run?
There's right now we've got 4 different tunings.
Okay. Yeah.
And for his regular standard, I'll say standard, but it's actually a half-step flat.
Okay.
So that's what most of the stuff is, a half-step flat, and these are Ernie Ball 11 to 48s.
Wow. Okay.
And then we have other tunings that are standard tuning, and then a standard tuning drop D, and then a half-step drop D.
Sure.
And I will gauge those accordingly.
Yeah, just to get them to feel.
Yeah, I might put a heavier low E on the drop D.
And what picks does he use?
He uses a Dunlop Tortex 1.14.
Oh, okay, so it's
heavy. A pretty heavy pick. Combining that with his attack, it's a lot of force.
Yeah, we just watched Soundcheck, and he was killing it, man. Just throwing down. Yeah, it was.
He's having a great time on this tour, and he's playing better than ever.
God, ferocious, man. Yeah. Okay, great.